We're not meant to be tourists in this lifetime. We are meant to create. We are meant to be empowered, and we are meant to follow what it is that's been injected into us when we first started this journey, and that's our own soul's calling. We just need the tools, and Taylor's conscious creation model is an incredible tool for you to use, and just have patience with yourself. Hi, welcome to the AlignUs podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Nikhil Sharma, and I'm so grateful to have you guys here with us today. Over the past 2 years, I made the transition from working as a physician in the hospital to creating mission-led businesses that are focused on healing, growth, and living life with alignment. And in my journey, I've learned many valuable lessons and met some incredible thought leaders. And those stories we want to share with you through this podcast. Have you ever followed your highest excitement, made that leap of faith, said yes to your dreams, and then, all of a sudden you're in that moment, you're pouring your heart and soul into everything, and you realize that you're clinging too much to how the outcome is going to be? When will I get that job? Will this relationship even last? What if it doesn't turn out exactly how I want it to turn out? The thing that most people miss is that expectations is what causes the magic of conscious creation to die. Because if we're focused on the outcome, we're disconnecting from the flow. And in conscious creation, the power isn't in the destination, it's in the surrender. In today's podcast, we're going to be talking about part 4 of the conscious creation model, how to let go of expectations. Joining me today is my guest, the excitement whisperer, the creator of the conscious creation model, and the author of The Best Life Ever, Taylor Wells. Welcome back, Taylor.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
So I feel like this 4th step is one of the hardest steps because innately, I feel like we always have expectations when we start things. It's been ingrained in us at a very, very young age. So can you walk us through what it actually means to let go of expectations? And why is this a really essential part of the conscious creation model?
Of course, yeah. You really hit it on the head here, Dr. Nick, because this is where I most often see my coaching clients hit a little bit of a speed bump. Step 4. So just to review everyone listening in case you don't know or remember the steps of conscious creation. So remember, this is how reality is created, all right? So it's step 1, follow your highest excitement. Step 2, take action on your highest excitement and take it as far as you can. Step 3, and always maintaining integrity, meaning integration within. Step 3 is maintain a positive outlook as you're doing so. And now we're up to step 4. Okay, we have other podcasts about the first 3 steps. So step 4 is to let go of the attachment to the outcome, right, of why you're doing all this, what you're excited about. So the biggest misconception around this step is that people, before they understand why it's there, they believe that I or the conscious creation kit is attempting to talk them out of what I call CPR, choose, prefer, and resonate with. Okay. Not a great idea to use the word want because it keeps you in wanting, right? And everything is now. Let's say you're really excited about something. You have highest excitement. It comes to you during your meditation or on a walk or when you're doing yoga or whatever. And you follow the first 3 steps. You're so excited and you have a visual, you have an idea of the outcome of this excitement. Are you with me so far? Yeah. Okay. Now, the best possible way to follow the steps of conscious creation with precision is to let go of the specifics of that outcome or that vision or attachment, if you will. Why? Because believe it or not, I suggest you believe it, your visual of what you CPR, what you choose, prefer, and resonate with is this big compared to what's actually possible, what your higher mind knows, okay? And your ego, your lower mind, who we love, it's a part of you, but your inner critic is so holding on to, no, this is my vision, this is what I, am attached to, blah, blah, blah. I want this, or I choose this. And the issue is by doing that, you shut yourself down to all these other incredible magical things that are just right there waiting for you. How I suggest you do it is you spend 15 minutes. That's it. Okay. 15 minutes while in a positive state. So when you're feeling good, really visualizing that specific thing. Okay. I'll give you 15 minutes. Then drop it. All right. Maintain, however, the emotion, no surprise here, of excitement around it. Excitement, anticipation. However, the feeling, but not attached to that specific thing. Why? Because of what I said earlier. Probably the person, place, or thing that's coming is like beyond anything you could even imagine. However, when you're tied to that thing and your higher mind is like, dude, chill, like relax. This other thing is coming that's so much better for you. You don't know. And then when that little thing that you think is big doesn't come, you now throw away your positive, right? Which is step 3. Now you're like, damn, where is it? This shit doesn't work. I can't believe it. I blah, blah, blah. And now guess what? You're in this low vibration, so you can't see. You're not at the vibration of the solution and the breadcrumbs leading you to the bigger thing. Did that make sense?
That makes complete sense. And it makes a complete physiological sense that our brains are hardwired to be in a state of wanting to know what the outcomes are going to be. We have an extreme fear of the unknown. Our brain likes certainty. It needs stability. Ever since we were young, our parents, our society, they trained us on the fact of living with expectation, having the expectation of when you get good grades, you'll get into a good college. And if you get a good going to college, you're going to get a great job. And by the time you're 30 years old, there was an expectation set for you that you were going to be married, you're going to have a couple kids, you're going to have X amount of dollars in your bank account. And this is how life was going to be. There was an expectation that was set out if you followed these guidelines. And your brain was like, okay, you started seeing some of the positive effects of following those guidelines. When you got good grades, you did end up in a good college. And then when you got to a good college, you did end up getting a good career. But then along the way, you didn't find yourself getting married. And then you're in a career now that you're not feeling fulfilled in. And so now you've reached your expected destination, but that destination, there's no fulfillment there. And so then becomes the question, you start questioning, well, is this the right path? Well, I have a lot of resentment, but this was supposed to be the path that was going to bring me fulfillment, or at least that's what my parents told me. At least that's what society has told me. So, our bodies have been trained for a long time to be in a state of expectation as well as predicting the outcome as best as you can, because our nervous system loves safety.
Yes. And a couple things I want to say about that. I love everything you said. First of all, another piece of this is, let's say you get to 30. Okay, so you gave that age. So you get to 30, and let's say, a few of the things that were on, that list of attachment haven't happened yet. Okay, let's just, for this example, Dr. Nick, assume that you actually do authentically choose, prefer, and resonate with them. I know we were talking about something else, but let's just pretend. So you really do, and you're 30, and you're like, damn, I'm 30, and this isn't here yet. So first, I described earlier, now you go into disappointment, right? So disappointment, the way I define disappointment is you are disappointing yourself. So, when you appoint someone to be, the queen or the king, right? Because it's always, everything is self-inflicted, by the way, everyone. Everything, it's all inside of your universe. Okay. So your entire universe, your entire reality is a reflection of your beliefs. So it's always starting from your beliefs, right? It's beta, belief, emotion, action. So you're 30, you're like, oh no, I'm screwed. Like, I'm not on schedule here. Now, the issue with that is that the universe, your higher mind, your authentic self, and the universe all working together, knowing divine timing. Divine timing simply means when this is meant to happen, not based upon statistics and your lower mind and all these lower mind kind of spreadsheet ideas. This is coming from a place of magical creation of reality. Okay. And the way that you easily access that is simply following your excitement, because that is the connection with that higher mind. Anyhow, so you're 30 years old. You're totally bummed out. You're disappointed, right? You disappointed yourself. Now your energy's tanking. And here's another issue with that, everybody. Imagine that your life is, as it is, it's a path of steps, right? I call them sparkly steps. Okay. So you have these sparkling steps. And let's say you're on a sparkling step and you don't think it's so sparkly. You're like, I hate this step, Taylor. Excitement whisperer. I don't prefer this step. Why is it here? I shouldn't be here. What am I doing wrong? Okay. I just heard this from a client today, actually, almost the exact same thing, except she didn't say that about me. But I like to add that. So here you are in a step and you don't prefer it. That's cool. This is not about saying, pretending, I love this when you really don't. Okay. I think they call that toxic positivity. But the point is, just be real, be your authentic self, have your real authentic feeling. However, if it is truly something you don't prefer, that is part of your excitement. Why? Because it's showing you what you do prefer. Okay. So by seeing, I'm on this step, I don't prefer it, acknowledge it, feel it, 15 seconds, go to neutral, black sky, white stars, white moon, then go to what do I prefer? Okay. So Nick just said, I prefer knowing where the hell I'm going. I feel more calm when I know an outcome or whatever. Awesome. Here, I'm going to give you an outcome. Everything is always working out for me. I have no idea how, but it's working out.
I love that mantra and I love that saying, but it took me a long time to understand that everything is always working out for us because, I was trapped in this fight or flight mode and our brains are in this fight or flight mode and we're constantly seeking survival. We're constantly seeking safety. We want things to be stable. We want certainty. And what happens is that when we go into fight or flight, our cortisol levels go up, our adrenaline levels go up, and that causes our brains and our blood flow to start constricting, and it starts taking away blood flow from our magical prefrontal cortex, which is the area of the brain that is responsible for creativity, for vision, for thinking long term. And so when we lose blood flow there, there's no oxygen there, and the blood flow is now shunting towards the amygdala, which is your fear center. And now you're having more negative thoughts coming up. You're having more thoughts of, I need to get back to where I was going because that was more safer than me leaving. And so imagine for 1 second that you took some time in that moment to just relax, doing some activities to just breathe, to let go of those negative thoughts, to allow the blood flow to go back into the front of your brain. And then you're able to come up with better solutions for yourself, right? And how to see things in a bigger pattern. And so when people understand the physiology behind what happens when they're in the need for control, the need to always know what needs to happen, they're selling themselves short of the potential of what could really happen, which is what you're saying is there's something that's even more incredible that could even occur if you allow yourself to detach from those outcomes. And I'll tell you 3 amazing examples. Instagram, when they started, they were actually it's called the Bourbon app. And the purpose of the app was for people to just go around and take photos of themselves drinking bourbon. But then if they were so fixated on just being that, then there would never be this multi-billion-dollar company that became Instagram. YouTube actually started off as a dating site. People don't realize that, right? So if they were just so fixated on working on just creating a dating site where people can go and upload their videos for them to see each other and action, and they were so rigid on their ways, again, we would never be blessed with the world with YouTube. And finally, and there's one of many, many examples, Amazon was an online bookstore. I think most people recognize or realize that it was just an online bookstore. And Jeff Bezos, was started off with that. But if he had just kept his mind in such a narrow tunnel, we would never have the great Amazon that we have today. So these are just some examples of companies that started one specific way, but because their founders and entrepreneurs understood that there is no need to have an attachment to the outcome and to be in the present moment and to look at the data and see what it shows, and that I can pivot to making it this way because it seems like more people are interested in this. Well, then you're opening yourself up to this enormous amount of possibilities. And that's where the magic is.
Yeah. And it's following the green light, exactly what you said. So starting out, remember the conscious creation kit includes the driving force of momentum. You don't have to force yourself when you're following excitement. People often say to me, wow, you have so much discipline. And I say, I don't have discipline. I just follow my highest excitement, and wild horses can't keep me from doing X, Y, Z, whatever it may be, right? It's just what you're going to do. One thing also regarding the stepping stones, everyone, is that when you're on a stepping stone that you don't prefer, remember that's okay. Acknowledge it, feel the feeling, and feel what Nick was talking about through physiology, which is really helpful. That rush of like, you know, when you're realizing like, I am not this, like when you're angry or you're scared and you feel that rush, flip that to excitement, because you are one energy. Okay. And the way that your energy is being experienced by you and the rest of the world is based upon the belief through which you are projecting that energy. Okay. So you could have 100 people walking down the same street, or 1,000 or 1,000,000 for that matter. Everyone is experiencing it differently because they're experiencing it through their specific personal energy. Now, when that's happening and you're fired up, right, physiologically, as Nick described, know that that's a rush, and you can use that. You can use what I'm saying right now to flip it to, wait a minute, this is energy and it's me. And what is my belief that's making it feel bad? And most likely it is, I'm not good enough. I'm not where I should be. You know, people don't like me, or whatever it may be. Now, the key is whatever stepping stone you're on, embrace it, even if it sucks. Okay. Because if you say, this isn't valid, I shouldn't be here, the step disappears, that stepping stone, you fall in the mud, okay? And you fall into compression, which people call depression, or feeling overwhelmed, or feeling alone, or all these things. And then your lower mind, your inner critic is so happy. Here she is, or here he is. You're safe here now with me. Here you are. You don't have to go do that. Go back to medicine, Nick. Come on. That's not working for you. Okay. This is how it works. And if you notice in that moment, wait. It's okay to be on a stepping stone that feels not great. It's showing me what I do prefer. I chose it for a reason. When you embrace it and you validate it, now you can step forward. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Yeah.
I just feel like we're obsessed about the future. You know, we're always worried about what is going to happen in the future. And we tend to lose sight of what is going on now. Is anybody living in the present anymore? Because the present, when you're calm, is when things are very, very clear. And when you're clear, that's when the greatest inspiration can come to us. But if we're always focused on how things are meant to unfold, well, then we're missing out on amazing amount of opportunities that are being presented to us in the present moment. And that's what awareness and presence allows us to do. It allows us to be like, I'm seeing that people are really liking this function in the Bourbon app. They really seem to like putting up photos all the time. All the time. It's not really about the bourbon. They're just liking putting up photos. Maybe we can focus the app not just on bourbon, but just focusing themselves on making photos look as great as they possibly can. And if they were fixated on the fact of, you know, this bourbon idea,
the bourbon.
they would never.
No, we must do the bourbon.
No, you see, so, right? You know, and I want people to understand and maybe look at a point in their life where, are they currently going through something right now that you feel like you're having a certain expectation in? Is that your job? Is that your relationship that you're currently in? Is that something that's going on with your children? You know, it's important for us to reflect for just a moment and see, am I setting these unrealistic expectation as to how that individual or that job needs to show up for me? Am I communicating what my expectations are? Because I feel like that can also be, something, it's a little bit different when it comes to relationships, because I feel like in relationships, there needs to be communication about certain expectations. But it's important for us to evaluate that expectation when it comes to the different parts of our life. And I feel like there's a lot of power with that. I was thinking about when I was growing up, how I was always thinking about the future all the time, because that's how we've been trained to think about all the way until we're 65 years old. And, you need to just hit these certain benchmarks along the way. And glory behold for you, you'll be the most happiest person ever at the age of 65. Because that's what I feel like we are targeted and we are set up to be happy at 65 years old. Not anytime before that, because before that, it's all about being in this grind that you got to go through. It's too soon because,
Not
God
yet.
forbid anybody retires before 65. God forbid anyone does anything that's different. And you know what's even crazier is when you do something different, it's like people look at you in a weird kind of way, right? It's like, oh, you're deciding to retire at the age of 45. That's not what most people do. That's not the expectation that has been set out by society. Like, something must be wrong with you. Did you lose your job? Is there a divorce that's going on? People start spiraling into the most craziest thoughts when you do something that you feel is in alignment for you, but it's not what is expected out of you. And have you noticed that a lot with some of the patients that are the clients that you've had in your life, that they've experienced similar issues, and that's kind of what has caused them to, refrain from doing that?
Yeah, 100%. So people are before they start working with me, it doesn't last long. They are very focused on what others see in them, what others think of them, etc. And once I explain to them that really that is absolutely none of their business, and that actually no one really cares, and they're really very focused on themselves, and everyone's doing the best they can. And the very, very best thing you can do for others is to shine your light and your authentic passion and excitement. And yes, they will ask questions, but it will be coming from a different place. It will be like, I want what you're having. What are you doing? Okay. And it does take practice to understand that it's just emanating that more so than explaining it or proselytizing. And believe me, I've done my share of that because I get really excited about things. When I had my yoga studios, a few times I chased people down the street. You have to try yoga because not actually, but just, energetically. And when you really care and you want to help people, etc. But really the best thing you can do is emanate your true happiness and your joy. And then people won't ask those questions. When people ask those questions, Nick, what that means is you have doubt within yourself. You are opening up to that. And when you not even believe, so knowing is even higher than belief, right? When you just know, you're not going to get those questions. You're going to get different questions like, please tell me what you're doing. And then we can send them to this podcast. So I want to quickly review for people, just in case people just jumped on. The reason why attachment isn't what we're going for here to outcome is not because you're not allowed to create anything, because you can literally create anything that's relevant to you. The reason why is because what you are in the midst of creating is so much bigger than you can even conceive of. And at this point, you're just going to have to trust me, because until you try this, once you try it, you're going to see immediately. The universe will just give you immediate results because everything is now. And it's not going to say like, all right, I'm going to wait about a month to show him anything. Immediately, you're going to see results. Okay. As long as you're in the now. So number one, it's way bigger than you could imagine. Number two, if you're in a position that you're not preferring, okay, feel the feeling. Don't fake it. Be your authentic self and validate where you are. Say, I created this for a reason. It's here for a reason. What is the lesson? Oftentimes it's just, I don't prefer this. But if you get into a big pity party and say, what am I doing wrong? This isn't working. You invalidate the step, and now there is no step. You can't step forward. So wherever you are, squeeze every drop out of it. And the paradox is once you do, you go so quickly forward. But if you're standing there or falling in the mud and questioning what's happening, what's wrong, this isn't working, It needs to go faster. It slows you down. Does that make sense?
No, I'm a firm believer in this, and I've obviously followed this model. For those that don't know or showing up, I've left my career working as a physician in the hospital where I was making a good amount of money. But at the end of the day, I lost fulfillment in doing that. And now I could have stayed in that job and kept making a certain kind of money and kept living a certain kind of lifestyle. But there was something in my soul that was telling me that was making me more excited than just working in the hospital. And so I decided to take that chance and make the leap of faith and go after my highest excitement. And when I did that, I created a company called AlignUs. And initially, I was just thinking that we were just going to build an app that was going to make it fun, easy, and rewarding for people to be able to donate to. And we were doing that with these physical challenges, and we're creating some sort of positive atmosphere and do good for yourself while helping others, mantra. Now, I made sure, though, in this journey that I kept myself open to other possibilities, because if I thought that the app was just going to be for that, then I would miss out on what potentially we could be creating. And thank God I was able to do that and kept myself in a really positive mindset, an open mindset, which then allowed me to tap into, we're helping adults, but we really also need to be helping our youth. And our youth is where our future lies. And if we can help treat them and teach them the right coping mechanisms and teach them mindfulness and emotional regulation, well, then they're not going to necessarily have the same physical outcomes that their parents might have had, or get these diabetes or overweight, or die at an early age, because they've now become aware enough of how to respect and treat their body. And so that led me to also open up another company called the Align Foundation, which is focused on putting mindfulness into the school systems. And what's been amazing is that our response rate recently, after we've just instituted them over the past semester, has been incredible. We've had teachers come up to us being like, hey, our school suspensions went from 13 for fighting this semester down to 4. Our kids have been less aggressive than normal, and feel so thankful for this class to be instituted into the school that they want this class to be an everyday part of their lives, right?
You
And
doing
so,
it? Can they
yeah,
do
so
it?
we're doing it. We're working on that. But what I was, leading to is that when you leave yourself open to having, no expectation, but you are going forward with what your soul is telling you to do, then the opportunities and the possibilities are limitless, literally limitless. And if you follow this model of taking action, then, keeping yourself in a positive state of mind, and
Yes.
then letting go of those expectations, well, that's where the magic starts occurring. That's where the creation is going on overdrive, because there's no end to the amount of things that we can possibly create. Don't limit yourself by setting expectations, because not only are we having this app, now we're having this mindfulness program, and then now we're working on helping other nonprofits, get themselves to become more aware in the social media aspect, because we've developed a skill set. So there's just so many things that start opening up to you when you just let go and let flow.
And on that note, earlier, Dr. Nick said about, described how important it is to be in the now, right? To not be thinking about when you're 65. So I think it's really important to understand, because some people might be getting overwhelmed hearing this, like, well, how do you know? How did you know that was going to happen? And I could tell many stories about, what I thought prana power yoga was going to be and what it actually was and what this and that, very similar stories. The key is that when you're in the moment and you're in that positive state, remember you're following these steps, it will drop in. Nick got the idea. He doesn't sit down, or maybe he does, but I'm guessing he doesn't, with a spreadsheet going, all right, let me just think, let me think. No, in the moment, he's in the moment. He's doing this. He's on a podcast, and all of a sudden, or he's meditating, or he's walking his dog, or he's laughing with his friends. And then boom, he gets this idea because he's in that high state. Okay. So you're not going to know it all today. And here's why. Your higher mind is so brilliant, and it drops exactly what you can handle. So when you say something to me as my client, like, I can't handle this, I say, yes, you can. And they're like, what? You're not very empathic. And I say, I'm not empathic. I'm compassionate. Okay. because compassionate is me standing outside the mud, holding my hand over so you can grab it. I'm not getting in the mud with you. That's empathy. Compassion is you attracted this and you are ready for it. Let's reframe it. Let's bring it from an excitement principle, from an excitement understanding that I'm excited to see that this sucks. So now I'm going to see what I love, right? You can always flip the coin as long as you're in the moment. If you're not in the moment, you're not home to receive the package that is being delivered.
Yeah, that's very, very, very well said. So, Taylor, what are some strategies and tools that you recommend your clients and the people that are listening out there on how they can focus on letting go of expectations, surrendering themselves, and then being in the flow? Because I feel like this step right here is what really can catapult you to the next level of your dream and your destination, which is self-actualizing to your highest potential.
Yes, absolutely. So what's really, really important is to have practices that you utilize daily that bring you to a state, as Nick was describing earlier, physiologically, you can rewind back, and mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So finding a practice daily that's going to start your day from a place of connection, from a place of calm, from a higher vibration. So whether it is meditation, yoga, going for a walk with your dog, taking a hot bath, going for a bike ride, whatever works for you, do it daily. Okay. So put that time in so that you can come from that state. Okay. Now you followed the formula to this point, and as I described earlier, you took a 15-minute window during which you visualize a specific thing. And that's it, everybody. Cut it off then. Okay, I'm going to explain to you why, and that will help you remember this. People misunderstand. People know just enough metaphysics to be dangerous. So they hear this or that here and there, and then they misuse it in this way. So they say, okay, I need to be always thinking about this and talking about it and make a poster board or a dream board, or nothing is wrong with any of these things. However, do it for 15 minutes and then cut it off, because otherwise, think about it. When you order food, or you go, you're ordering something, whatever, you place one order, right? And then you go pick it up. If you keep ordering over and over, right, you're going to get confused, first of all. And the universe, sees you in asking mode. Okay. You're not in receiving mode. Receiving mode is doing your meditation. You've already done the ask. It's one time. One time. So what people do is they take metaphysics and they make it hard. They're like, I gotta be doing. So they go from, like, Nick leaves the hospital, but then starts being like, I spend 12 hours a day focusing on this one thing. No, you don't. One 15-minute slot and you're done. Now your job is to get in alignment, however you do it. I love yoga. I love meditation. I love the beach. Find what works. Okay, just do it. Number 2, maintain a positive outlook no matter what. So it's not pretending you love what's happening when you don't. However, you can say something very general like, I really don't prefer this. However, I know I attracted it for a reason. That's a general thing. So let me just chill. Let me just chill. Okay. So you've done your practice in the morning. You've done your 15 minutes. You're done. You asked. It's over. You're all set. Now, how do you let go of that attachment? Be in the moment and notice what your thoughts are. If you're saying, where is it? What's wrong with me, etc., go back to the belief, because the belief is generating that thought. And the belief is, most likely, I'm not good enough until I am a doctor. I'm not good enough until I have this person. I'm not good enough until I achieve this goal. Here's the deal. You're good enough now. And the bottom line is, all this stuff is just for entertainment. You being your authentic self is enough. That's it. You expressing it through fun things is fun, but that's all it is. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I feel like we actually attach our self-worth to some of these expectations that we set out for ourselves. And then when we don't accomplish those expectations, then our self-worth goes down. And we then get into this spin of resentment and we're not good enough. And we'll start doing things that are not in alignment with who we truly are. And like you said, our energy levels drop. And when we're in this guilt and shame that comes from not meeting these unrealistic expectations, it can lead to a spiral, whether that's you doing substances, you doing anything that's causing you to get out of that pain, because it is painful to be in that situation. But it's important for us to not have expectations when we start things. Just take it day by day, step by step. If we're trying to get into a relationship, don't think that the worst thing is possibly going to happen or it's not going to work out. Just talk to the individual, go out on one, like, lunch or dinner, keep things very casual. It's about making progress towards what you want your future outcome to be. And everyone is different in that sense.
Yes,
It's about action. You can't just have
moving.
these thoughts. You have to move forward. You can't just
Yes.
have these desires that are pent up inside you that you really want to accomplish, but not take any action towards it because you're worried that something bad is going to happen. Then of course nothing is going to ever happen and you're going to feel like crap. You're going to feel like resentment and you're going to go into a spiral that's going to make you feel even worse and take you down to dark holes and dark places. And we are not meant to have that here. And so actually, this is a perfect segue to 3 things I just wanted people to leave here with and to follow. Number 1, follow your heart. When we were born, we were these joyous kids and we were free, we were loving, we had the world right in front of us. We felt like anything was possible. But then life happened. It hardened us, it hardened our hearts. And instead of focusing from doing things from the heart space, we started thinking and doing things more logically. And doing things logically doesn't bring us self fulfillment. So, first, you need to start by healing that heart, focusing on things that make you truly, authentically happy. That is really where the magic starts happening. We're meant to follow our heart. And whatever comes from that, whatever joy that is, it needs to be led first from the heart. Number 2, spend some time alone and some solitude. I was fortunate enough to spend about 1 year alone. And that was the greatest thing that could have ever happened, because when you're alone, you're not distracted. You don't have people telling you what to do or how to do this. I spent time even away from my phone, and it's incredible the messaging that your body starts telling you of like what you need to do, what it is that makes you happy. The thing is that messaging is always there. It's really, really quiet, right? But we dim that quietness even further by all the distractions we put on ourselves every single day. So just spend some time alone, try to do some journaling. What are some things that you're doing right now that you're doing because of you're obligated to do them, that you're not doing them from your heart space? Write those things down. Journaling is an incredible way to do things and to really open up our mind. And number 3, be present. That's the most important thing, because that is where magic happens. But we're always either thinking about the past and all the bad things that have happened, or we're future tripping about a future that hasn't even occurred yet. But we're never right here in the present moment. And you can do that by meditating 10 minutes a day, but just focusing on filling yourself up. If you follow these 3 things, I promise you, you will get to a place where you will feel like everything is happening for you. Like, remember what Taylor was saying in the beginning of this podcast, where everything is happening for you? It takes a little bit of strategy. It takes some time. And most importantly, it takes you having action and then faith. Be okay with being in the unknown. Be okay with having some uncertainty, because in that uncertainty, that's where creation occurs, because you are being forced to do something about that uncertainty and not going back to what has caused you the resentment and the pain that you're already trying to make change from. It's causing you to come up with new ways of living life and doing things that are going to be in alignment for the way that you need to live life. That's why it's beautiful. That's why the uncertainty has now become my calling and something I've been in literally for the last couple of years. I never want to be fully comfortable ever again in my entire life. And that doesn't mean that I don't want some parts of my life to be comfortable. And, where I'm waking up and my dog's there, and, those types of things, there needs to be some comfort, but I don't want like my profession or my relationships to just get into this monotonous situation where it's the same thing every single day, because that's how things die. And that's where we begin to get a lot of pain. And we are not meant to be in pain. We're not meant to be tourists in this lifetime. We are meant to create. We are meant to be empowered, and we are meant to follow what it is that's been injected into us when we first started this journey. That's our own soul's calling. Remember that. Please remember that. We are really powerful, powerful individuals. We just need the tools. And Taylor's conscious creation model is an incredible tool for you to use. And just have patience with yourself. Step by step, you'll notice, like she said, things will start getting magnetized to you. Did I think a couple years ago that I would be sitting here with a podcast talking to you guys with Taylor Wells? No. Did I think I would have a nonprofit or an app on the way when I was, deep in COVID, working on patients who were so sick? Never in my wildest dreams did I ever think that was going to happen. But I did know that I wanted to help humanity on a larger level, even when I was in the hospital. And I didn't know how that was going to happen. I had no idea, but I just had faith that it was going to happen. And now I can see it start coming into fruition. I had no expectations of what it was going to look like. In fact, I may have thought at one point it was going to look like me creating some traveling clinics in India where I would go to villages and I would help the underserved get better educated on diabetes. That was one of my visions a long time ago. But maybe I'll still go to that vision, but it's not how it started. It started this way. So
Patience, Dr. Nick. That was absolutely beautiful. So when you say have patience to everyone, remember, when you are impatient, you actually don't need patience if you're truly following the formula. And here's why. When you're impatient, you're attached to an outcome and you're attached to timing. Do you understand that? So, and anything that's happening right now is the only most important thing, even if you're doing the kitty litter. Okay. Whatever you're doing, this is the most important thing. Not, I'm doing the kitty litter so I can go do something else. No, this is the most important thing. When you can live, and you can do this immediately if you choose to, when you choose to live in the moment, knowing that this is the most important thing, not thinking I should be someplace else. You don't need patience. Patience means you believe you should be somewhere else, or you should be doing something better, or you should be someplace better. Okay. So just if you can only just know that this is exactly where I'm supposed to be, even if it sucks, you can go, all right, this sucks. However, I know it's teaching me something because I attracted it. Okay. It's all you. Does that make sense?
makes perfect sense. What an incredible podcast today. I'm just so grateful for the knowledge that was dropped by Taylor, and hopefully you guys learned a lot. This is a really important step in the conscious creation model, and we'll be back with step 5 in a couple of weeks. But until next time, peace.